Hello everyone. So as you can see, today's webinar, we are going to cover the entire flow, how you can integrate your MProfit investment data into the Tally application. So currently, I'm sure you must be, your accounts team must be entering all the vouchers and everything manually in Tally. But with this integration, you will be able to download the investment data from MProfit Cloud application and easily upload it into the Tally app. And we have, as Atik also mentioned, we have basically developed the bridge between MProfit and Tally, a separate software, a EXE-based software, which will help you to create the Tally compatible files. And those files can be then easily uploaded into Tally application. And as you can see, so this will help you to create the vouchers also. Currently, in Tally application, for every contract note, for every mutual fund purchase or sell, or for any other asset classes, even the income transactions, the accounts team must be manually entering all the data. But with this utility, system will actually auto create the investment vouchers. Similarly, it will also include income transactions, all kinds of incomes. This can be dividend income, can be your rent income on your properties, can be interest income on your fixed deposits or bonds. So it will cover all kinds of income entries as well. Um, One important thing is this process can be completely automated. So on a regular basis, this integration can be done whenever you update the data by importing different contract note statements or maybe using APIs. Once the data is updated in MProfit, you can easily integrate this data into the Tally application. So overall, the efforts will be reduced a lot for your accounts team. They'll be able to easily use this integration. So what I'll do, I'll share my screen and I'll actually show you the entire flow, how this can be done. So before I start showing the entire process, let me quickly explain on a high level. So basically, it's a three-step process. First step is to download your investment data in a voucher format from the MProfit Cloud application. Second step is to use the Tally utility. So this is how the Tally utility looks like. It's a EXE-based application, and our team will be sharing the setup link with you, which you can easily install on your Windows application. So this utility will basically help you to create Tally compatible files, which is the second step. And third step is basically simply open the Tally application and upload the vouchers data, the transactions data directly into Tally. So overall, it's a three-step process. Before I start showing you the steps in detail, just want to touch upon few technicalities. Uh, Tally, if you're using Tally application, make sure that you have minimum Tally 4.0 version. Gold, silver, desktop cloud is fine, but minimum 4.0 version should be there because in Tally 4.0 and higher versions, there is an Excel import available. If you're using older versions, you will not be able to upload the Excel files into Tally. Okay, Atik also said a second point is basically the Tally integration is currently available in our family office plans. So in case if you're using uh, Lite plus HNI plans, please let us know. We can give you a trial version or we can talk to you and make sure that you will get the access for timing to try it out. And if you're okay, if you're finding it useful, you can upgrade to the higher version, which is a family office version. So currently Tally integration is available in our family office plans. Okay, so I'll start with the first step now. Now, the first step is to download the voucher report from MProfit Cloud application for your investment data. So, very first step is to create the account in cloud. As you can see on the screen, portfolios are already created. These are investment portfolios. So, for example, A Mehta is one investment portfolio for one member. B Mehta is another investment portfolio. To create or to download the voucher data, first step is to create the account. So let's say I create the account for Mr. A Mehta. To do that, I'll go to the plus sign and use option add account portfolio for Tally integration. So I'll select this. I'll add the account name, for example, A Mehta. I'll link A Mehta's portfolio, investment portfolio to this account. Similarly, we have provided an option if you want to include the income entries also in this integration, you can simply tick mark this option. This will include all kinds of income as I mentioned, which is dividend payout income for stocks and mutual funds, rent income on your properties, interest income on your fixed deposit and bonds. It will cover all kinds of income, which will be then integrated with Tally. Okay. So you just have to click on save here. which will create the new account. So on the top left side, just below the family name, earlier there were investment and F&O section, but now new account section got created. Okay, so now Mr. A Mehta's account is created. You simply have to click on download vouchers, choose the period and click on generate report to download the data. Now, if you are managing inventory in Tally, which is stock units, stock quantity, price, amount, you can process the inventory also. MProfit has provided an option where you can integrate the inventory data as well. To do that, simply click on additional customization options and select process inventory. If you are not using inventory, that is units and everything in Tally, you don't need to use this option. But in case if you're using inventory, simply click on advanced custom options and select process inventory as yes. Okay. Then simply click on generate report. So now all your investments data, which is there in your investment portfolio, will be downloaded in a voucher format. So this got generated. I'll click here to download the report, and this will download the voucher report. Just to quickly show you, this is the raw report basically. We are calling it as a voucher report for all kinds of transactions across different asset classes such as stocks, mutual funds, fixed deposits, all kind of income entries. This report will show the voucher data. So it will automatically create vouchers. Just to show it to you, if I select one particular, if I consider one particular contract note, if you see the first four transactions, this shows a contract note JV. So you can see that Reliance Industries, there is a debit of 29 lakhs. There are certain charges charged by the broker, which is STT and transaction charges. And it is basically credit to the broker. And here the broker name is Zerodha. So this is how the vouchers are automatically created if you use the option. Similarly, for income entries also, if I show you income entry here, in this case, I'm just selecting a specific uh, transaction just to show you the income entry. So as you can see, this is how the income entry will appear. Interest on investment, income entry. This is basically an interest payout for the NCD, a bond. Similarly, if there is a fixed deposit interest, it will appear. If there is a rent income or a dividend payout income, it will appear in the voucher report. So this report will be completely automatically created by MProfit. You don't need to obviously do any changes in this report. Just for the demonstration purposes, I explained you the report. Along with the basic uh, ledger amounts, we also process the inventory. As I have selected option to process the inventory, this particular voucher report will also contain the inventory data. So if you see it here, there are a couple of columns: inventory quantity, price, and amount. I'll just go up. So you see that for a particular investment, Reliance Industries, you can see the inventory item group as stocks, inventory quantity, price, and inventory amount as well. So along with the basic ledger amounts, you can also process the inventory and can be easily integrated to Tally application. So this is the first step. It's very easy step. Basically, I'll close the Excel file. Okay. First step is to basically download your investment data in a voucher format. Now I'll go to the second step, which is to use the Tally utility. Now, as Atik also mentioned, I also mentioned that we have basically developed a bridge between MProfit and Tally, and that's a EXE based application which looks like this. It will create a shortcut on your desktop application, and by simply double click on the shortcut, you can open this Tally utility. Okay, this is the EXE based installable software on your Windows system. So the second step is to use the utility and generate the Tally compatible files. Now we'll start with the second step. I've already selected the folder. So if you're doing it for the first time, you need to select a blank folder where all these files will be stored. So I'll click on change folder, and just to show it to you, as you see, MProfit Tally files is the folder, a blank folder I have created on the desktop where all the files will be stored. Then I'll click on continue. The second step, you have to select the file which you have downloaded from cloud application from the first step. So I'll click on select file, and I simply select the file which I have downloaded, which is a voucher report. Now this utility will process this particular voucher report and then generate the Tally compatible files. Now here we have given advanced options as well. So if you click on show advanced options, there are two check marks you can see. One is consolidate all stocks and second is process inventory. Now, as I mentioned, if you are managing inventory in Tally, make sure that you click on show advanced option and select process inventory, then proceed with the rest of the steps. If you're not managing inventory in Tally, you don't need to tick mark it. Similarly, we have also given option which is consolidate all stocks. This is mainly as we have seen couple of family offices, they are not creating different ledgers, different stock items for every single stocks mutual funds. They simply create a single simple common ledger. They may be calling it as share investment ledger. So instead of creating Infosys, Reliance, Tata Consultancy, and so on, different stock names, they create a simple common ledger. If you are managing the data in a similar way, where you are not creating ISIN wise ledgers and stock items, you can actually use this option, simply tick mark it and then process the file. What it will do is it will not create different ledgers for every single stock you have in your portfolio. At a later stage, it will give you an option to basically map it to a common ledger which you have created. So as I mentioned, if you have if you're managing the data in a similar way, and if you have created a common ledger, let's say share investments, and you want all the different stocks ledgers transactions to be added under that single ledger, then you can choose this option, tick mark it, and then process. For now, I won't be using the consolidate all stocks option. I'm just showing the process inventory option. So I'm just tick marking it and clicking on process file. On the next screen, you see four different files. Okay. I'll explain all one by one. The first option, the first thing you see, you have to click on open button here, which will open the Excel file. Now, it's very important for you to understand the mappings and do it one time. So this is one time exercise only. If you are starting using Tally application or you are starting in a fresh company for the new financial year, you technically don't need to do this mapping. But if you already have the data in your Tally system, let's say you are managing all the investments or inventory data in Tally since last couple of years. In that case, you will already have the data in Tally application. If that is the case, this mapping needs to be done. Meaning that, for example, if you see in the investment portfolio, there is a ledger called Reliance Industries. That there was an investment in Reliance Industries stock. Now let's say system MProfit system is giving the name as Reliance Industries, but in your case, in your Tally application, you have already added that investment, that particular ledger as a Reliance Industries Limited, for example. So you just have to get that exact name of Reliance Industries Limited or whatever RIL, a short form if you have given, and simply add it here one time. So one time mapping needs to be done. Similarly for expense ledgers also. So for example, MProfit system has a default security transaction tax, that is STT expense, name as STT. But in your case, you might be calling it as a security transaction tax or STT on shares, for example. In MProfit, it is with STT dash stocks, but in your Tally application, you have already created a expense ledger and named it as STT dash shares. So you just have to add that name in the Tally name column. This is just the one-time mapping so that when we process these files, it will not automatically create a new company or a new ledger or a new group because you already have all these ledgers and stock ledgers and expense ledgers created in Tally. So to avoid creating new ledgers or new groups unnecessarily, this one-time mapping can be done. It's a one-time exercise only. Once you do the mapping, next time when you do this process, all these mappings will not come. It will directly give you the transaction file. Okay, for now, I'm not adding any name because I'm going to show you the import in the blank directory, blank company and Tally. So I'm not adding any of the name. I'm simply closing the file. Similarly, second file is for unassigned ledgers. Now, there will be certain transactions or certain asset investment for which you must be doing transactions directly through bank, not through broker. For example, you have received the interest income, or let's say you have done the investment. To give you example, you have opened a new FD. let's say in ICICI Bank, but you have made the payment through some different bank. Okay. Or maybe you might be making the payment through ICICI Bank only. Here you have to simply add the bank ledger name. And if you are already using Tally application, all the bank ledgers will be already created in that bank. So again, you have to use the exact same name which you have used in the Tally application. So in my case, I am using Kotak Bank ledger, which I've already created in the Tally application. So I'll simply write Kotak Bank here for all the investments basically. So there are a couple of different investments as you see on the screen. There is AIF, fixed deposits, mutual funds, NCD debentures, bonds, and properties as well. So for all the type of investments, in my case, I'm basically doing all kinds of payments through a single bank, Kotak Bank. In case if you have multiple different banks, obviously you can write different bank names exactly the way you have created in Tally. Okay. Again, this is a one-time mapping only. So now whenever the purchase sale or purchase redemption happens, the transactions, the voucher will be automatically assigned to a bank ledger which you are giving. So in this particular case, whatever transactions are there, so now there is a ICICI Bank fixed deposit. Whenever the transaction happens, it will be automatically assigned to the Kotak Bank. Similarly, for all mutual fund purchase, redemption, dividend payout, all kinds of transactions, the vouchers, it will be automatically assigned to the Kotak Bank. So this one time ledger assignment needs to be done. So this I have already added the names. There are two options basically. If you have seen, I've added the bank name for the all assets row. But in case if you have multiple banks and every investment you're doing through a different bank. For example, HDFC Large Cap Fund, you have invested the money through ICICI Bank, but Kotak Nifty, you have invested through some other bank. In that case, for every single row, you can add the different bank name as well. In my case, I've simply added the bank name to all assets row so that all assets of mutual fund, meaning that all kinds of mutual fund vouchers will be automatically assigned to a Kotak Bank. Okay. So this is mapping is done. I'll just save the file and close it. Similarly, now just to clarify, technically, if you're not using inventory management, inventory data, you don't want to process the inventory data, then this two steps needs to be done. Okay. The rest of the two steps, which is go down mapping and stock item mapping, will be required only if you want to manage the inventory data. Okay. So I'll quickly show you those as well. So I'm clicking on open. This is the optional thing. If you want to manage a go down wise information investment data in Tally application, then you can mention the go down name. Again, the go downs has to be created in Tally application first. You cannot automatically create the go downs from this Excel file. So you need to make sure that if you're already maintaining the data in Tally and you have already created the go downs, you can add the names, go down names here. For now, I'm skipping this. I'm not adding any go downs. Similarly, the fourth option, as you see on the screen, this is for stock items. Now, for every asset, like a stock, Reliance Industries or Infosys, every mutual fund, every bond NCD, you have to again create a similar, you have to basically map a particular stock item, which is again already created in the Tally application. Okay, so assume that, as I already said, Reliance Industries, the initial mapping was for ledgers. This mapping is for stock items. So there are slight differences here. So in this case also, I'm not going to map anyone. I want system to automatically create the items, ledgers, and groups. So that option is also available. As I mentioned, if you are planning to start using Tally integration in a fresh company, you can, of course, use this option without adding any mapping. And in that case, utility will automatically create the new ledgers, new groups, new stock items as per MProfit, as per MProfit's nomenclature, as you see on the screen. Okay. By default, whenever you want to process the inventory, by default, it will be processed for stocks. But if you want to process the inventory for other asset classes also, such as mutual fund, NCD. There might be a private equity asset class or any other asset class where quantity is applicable. Please make sure that in the ignore column, you have to simply uh, remove the yes label so that it will process the inventory for mutual funds also. For stocks, by default, it will process the inventory. But for other asset classes, in case you want to manage, if you want to process the inventory, make sure you remove the yes label from here. Okay, so this process is done. I'm closing the Excel file. Once you review the data, add the mappings, simply click on continue, which will create the tally compatible files. Now, the second step here is completed where we have processed the voucher report using our tally utility application, which has generated the tally compatible files. So as you see, the utility has generated tally groups, tally ledgers, tally stock groups, tally stock items, and tally transactions. Again, just to repeat, if you're not maintaining inventory or if you don't want to integrate the inventory data into tally, in this particular screen, on this particular screen, you will see only three files: tally groups, tally ledgers, and tally transactions. Stock groups and stock items are the files which are related to the inventory data. So if you're not processing inventory, it will only create three files, and those three files you will have to import into tally application. So now with this process, this second step is completed. If you want to see the files, you can simply click on open folder and it will show you the files. Now these are the files which we can simply go to Tally application and directly upload it. I'll show you that process as well. Before moving to the third step, I just want to touch upon very important point. Once you actually import the data into Tally application, it's very important to do one thing here. You have to simply click on restart process and select successfully uploaded option. Why it is important? Because the utility will automatically take the backup of the existing data, whatever you have processed. That it will automatically take the backup and it will be used for future purposes where the duplication can be checked properly. If you don't use this option, and again, if you generate the data for the similar period, there is a chance of duplication. So that is the reason it is recommended that once you upload the file successfully in Tally application, which is in a third step, which I will show it to you, after this or after the second step, make sure that you click on the restart process and simply select this successfully uploaded option so that the utility will save the information that, okay, as on 6th of Feb, you have uploaded the data. Okay, so this is the second step is completed. Now I'm moving to the third step, which is uploading your files into Tally application. Here it is very straightforward. You have to simply select the import option and upload all the files. So to do that, simply go to import button. First, there are four different master files which we'll upload first, and then there is a transaction file which I'll upload. Now, one important point here is you have to upload the files in a similar order, meaning that we have already given the order. You have to first upload the groups, then ledgers, then stock groups, then stock items. The first four files are the master files, which you have to upload it. And the last file is the transaction file, which contains the actual voucher data. And as I said, these five files will be mainly generated for the first time only. After that, mostly there will be just two files, which is stock items and tally transactions, or tally ledgers or tally transactions. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just upload these files in a similar order. So to upload that, I'll select import, select masters option. File format should be Excel only. File path, I've already given the path. In your case, you can give the path once where you have saved the files. In my case, I've saved the files on my desktop by creating a new folder. So first option is to import the tally groups data, which is a master file. So I'll select file to import as tally groups.xlsx. Worksheet name group. You have to keep the default template only. Counting masters, I'll select as a group because we're importing a groups file. We have to select account masters as group. In this case, I'm selecting modify with the new data. Preview import summary, you can say yes or no, it is fine. Backup, for now I'm saying no, but we recommend to take a backup. So every Tally has a good functionality where before doing every import, you can take the backup. So if in case there is if something goes wrong, there won't be much cases, but if in case if something goes wrong, you can simply restore the existing backup and you will get the data. But we normally recommend if you're starting initially, please take the backups for a couple of days till you are comfortable with the entire process. Once you are comfortable, once you know how to process the files, you can straight away go ahead, and then in that case, you don't need to take the backup. For now, I'm just saying no for the backup. This is the preview screen as you see. So it is going to create 5 investment groups, 2 direct expense groups, that is STT and transaction charges, 1 income group, and 1 fixed asset group. So it's a preview window. I'll simply click on import to save the data. So now the groups are imported. Similarly, I'll go to the import option again. I'll select masters. From the path, I'll now select ledger masters. So tally ledgers.xlss file. Worksheet name is same, ledger. You have to select default template only. Now from the accounting master, as we are importing ledger masters, we have to select accounting master as ledger. Rest of the options are same. Modify with new data. Preview import summary, yes. Backup, I'm saying no for now. So as you see, it is going to create different ledgers. So one stock ledger, 2 STT ledgers, 1 transaction charges ledger, and so on. So it will actually create 20 different ledgers using this option. So I'll click on import. So now 20 ledgers got created. Similarly, I'll again go to import, select masters. I'll select now stock groups XLS file. Again, just to repeat, if you are processing the data without inventory, there won't be these 2 files, stock groups and stock items. You don't need to process these 2 files. You don't need to import these 2 files. You will just be importing groups, ledgers, and transactions if you want to integrate the data without inventory. But as I have selected inventory option, I'll select stock groups, default template. As we're importing the stock groups and it is related to the inventory, we have to select inventory masters and stocks groups as a master. Rest of the options are exactly same. Modify with new data. Preview import summary, yes. Backup, I'm not taking. So it is going to create a single group in this case. That is also got created. The fourth option is basically to upload the masters. I'll again upload the masters for stock items. So I'll select tally stock items. Worksheet name is stock item again. Default template. Inventory masters, as we are importing the stock item masters, I'll select stock item as it is. Modify with new data. Rest of the options are exactly same. This also got imported. And now the last option is to upload the vouchers data. So we'll simply go to import transactions. In this case, again, I have already set the path. So you will select transactions.xls file, worksheet name as tally transactions. Rest of the options are exactly same. You have to keep the default template, preview import summary, yes. Backup, in this case, no. So as you can see on the screen, it will create 9 JVs, 6 payment vouchers, and 1 receipt voucher. So if I click on import, it will automatically create all the vouchers. Now, one important thing to understand here is, as I have shown the entire process for the for a fresh company, it's like you're doing the data import for the very first time. In this case, it will generate 5 files. Otherwise, it will just generate 2 or max 3 files, which is your stock transaction file, a stock item file, and a transaction file. That is a voucher file. Otherwise, you don't need to process all 5 files regularly every single time. There'll be always 2 to 3 files. Some cases there'll be 1 file only, a single file. If you're not doing investments in a new companies, new assets, like new stocks, new mutual funds, or new NCDs, in that case, there'll be a single file which will be generated by the Tally utility, which is Tally transactions file, which you can simply go to import option, select the transaction option, and directly upload into Tally app. So it's a 3-step process. With this, now the third step is also completed, where all the transactions got uploaded into the Tally application. Just to show it to you, I'll go to the balance sheet. So I'll go to balance sheet option. You can see it has created fixed asset as a group, investment as a group, current asset as a group, which is created through the Excel import. If I go to the investment section, you will see the Asset groups as well, AIF, fixed deposits, mutual fund equity, NCL debentures, stocks, and so on. If you go to the group, you will see a stock names as well. In my case, in this particular case, there was a single stock, Reliance Industries. So this got automatically created. If I go inside, you will see that even the vouchers got automatically created. So you see, if I open a particular voucher for a June month, this is how the contract note voucher appears. So you can see Reliance Industries, debit and credit. There was an intraday also, and there was a short-term gain loss also. So it has automatically populated short-term and long-term ledgers as well. Whatever expenses are charged by the broker, those are shown here, STT on stocks and transaction charges. Similarly, the broker name, it is credited to the broker, which is Zerodha in this case. And along with the amount information, you can also see the inventory. So in case if you're managing inventory, you can process it easily. And just below the Reliance Industries, you can see that there is a Reliance Industries 200 quantity purchased on what price, that is 3,100 rupees per quantity, and this is the amount. So the inventory also can be easily processed. Same goes for your mutual fund transactions as well. So if you go to mutual fund transactions, as you can see, it has automatically assigned a purchase transaction to a Kotak bank because we have followed the step where we have assigned the bank name. I've written the bank name as a Kotak bank. So the particular transaction for a mutual fund, a purchase transaction, got automatically assigned to a bank. And you can see the other details as well, amount, the narration, which will say that quantity bought, this much quantity on this much rate. So all this will automatically come. Your account person don't need to manually enter all this voucher data into Tally application. Similarly, we have processed the incomes also. So to see that, you can simply go to the current assets and you can see various different ledgers, dividend receivable, interest receivable, rent receivable, TDS. If you are adding a TDS also for your income, that can be also easily processed. Just to show it to you, if there is a rent income on your properties, if you are maintaining, this is how it appears. So if I go to the rent receivable option, this is our particular JV appears, gets auto created. So rent income is 80,000, rent receivable is 75,500, and TDS you paid is 4,500. So all these kinds of transaction, purchase, redemption, even the corporate actions, dividends, all kinds of income can be easily integrated from MProfit to Tally. So overall, it's very easy process. It's a three-step process, and this will reduce the accounts team efforts time a lot because currently they are manually entering all these vouchers. But even if you have 100 transactions or 200 transactions on a daily basis, and even if you want to do this process on a daily basis, it will hardly take 5 to 10 minutes to process the data. Initially, for uh, ledger and stock item mapping, there might be some time required. It might take half an hour or maybe more than that. But once the master's mappings are done, as that is a one-time process, to process rest of the data on a regular basis, it will be very fast. It will hardly take 5 to 10 minutes to process entire multi-broker, multi-asset, multiple transactions from MProfit to Tally. So this is the last step basically. Again, just to revise, it's a three-step process. First step is to download your investment data in a voucher format from MProfit Cloud application. Second step is to use MProfit Tally utility, which is an EXE-based application, to process the files and create Tally compatible files. And third step is to simply go to Tally application and upload the files. Okay. Um, Rather, you want to add anything, or we can go ahead with the best practices?
We can go ahead with the best practice. Just one thing, maybe we can just show the stock summary ledger once so that they see the whole inventory structure because I think
Sure,
I
sure,
some questions, how they can track it. So
sure, sure, sure. So you will get the complete inventory for every single stock, even for mutual funds and other asset classes also, if required. We have enabled those options as well. So not only stock inventory, but mutual fund, NCDs, private equity, wherever there is a quantity is applicable, and you want to manage the inventory data in Tally, you can easily process that as well. So it is not just limited to the stock inventory. You can process inventory for other asset classes as well. Yeah, Radha. So I think you can start with the best practices. Uh,
Tanmay, just before we continue, one
sure.
point we can just make about inventory, that this is
Yeah.
not something which is necessarily required. It is only for those who want to see it along with tally accounting, who have been doing this from the past. So, eh, anyways, you are using MProfit for portfolio management, and you are seeing the quantities of all the assets that you hold in MProfit. So you don't necessarily mandatorily have to manage your accounting with inventory and tally, but for those who want to, that is what Tanmay has shown thus far. And if anyone wants to continue without inventory management in Tally, the number of files to upload, as Tanmay explained, will be smaller. So just to reiterate and re-emphasize that last point.
And
Yeah.
just to
And
add to Atik's point, we also have a YouTube video which we have created, which shows the normal full process of Tally integration without selecting the inventory option. So you can also refer to that as well. We can add the link when we publish this recording.
So we see a lot of questions about whether this recording will be available. Yes, most definitely we will be sharing the webinar recording also. But in addition to that, we have another YouTube video already created about how to manage tally accounting without inventory management. So we'll have both on our YouTube channel, and yeah, we'll continue with the next part of the webinar, Tanmay and Radha.
Yes. So next, we wanted to cover the best practices to be followed when you're doing the integration from MProfit into Tally. For the first step, where we generate vouchers in cloud, um, we recommend that you create entity-wise accounts in MProfit, which basically means that you create a separate account for you are already creating pan based portfolios. So we recommend that when you create an accounts portfolio in cloud, you create it entity wise, so that when integration, it becomes easier to integrate if you are managing multiple different entities and pans and brokers in MProfit. Second, uh, when you're managing inventory items separately, we recommend that you create broker-wise portfolios, because in some cases, we have seen family offices create go-down structure if they're using 3, 4 multiple different brokers. And for example, Reliance Industries is bought through broker A and broker B. Both are managed separately in Tally. In those cases, if you're managing that way, we recommend that you create separate portfolios, broker wise and MProfit, and then generate respective broker accounting vouchers, so that when you're integrated, it becomes clear that for those specific brokers, specific integration is done in Tally inventory wise.
And yeah, I think most family offices and most families with multiple brokers, I think we have generally recommended that you do create broker wise portfolios anyways in MProfit, right? So that you can track each broker's portfolio separately, and then create groups if you want to consolidate data across different brokers as well. So generally speaking, if you are using, especially as Radha said, inventory management, please do create broker-wise portfolios in MProfit. But anyways, even if you are not doing that, broker-wise portfolios is definitely the best practice, so that you can see your data broker-wise as well as at a consolidated level in the group.
Okay. Yes, thanks, Atik. Next, Tanmay, can you go to the section
Yeah.
where we are downloading the vouchers? The automatic, when you're downloading the vouchers, the automatic selection will be for the current financial year. However, we recommend that, for example, if you've already integrated data from 1st April to say 31st of May, for the month of June, you should ideally download the voucher only from 1st of June till date instead of downloading from the first date of the financial year. This will avoid any duplication entries. We do have a system where we will able to highlight any duplicates, but from a safer side, it makes we recommend that you download these vouchers only for the incremental data and not from the first date, because for historical data already integration is done and voucher entries have been passed in Tally. So to avoid any kind of duplication, you should ideally download vouchers only from the incremental date from which you have done the transactions.
I wanted to add here that Tanmay, if we can just add to Radha's point, if we can just quickly
Yeah.
show our MProfit Tally EXE and the process which we recommend for duplicate checking using the restart process. So
Yeah. So just like Radha mentioned, that is one option which we recommend to all our clients while using this Tally integration. The second option is also to use whenever the successful import happens, as I've already mentioned, make sure that you come to this screen. Now the files are created. The second step is completed. Make sure you click on restart process and select successfully uploaded option. It's very important. Otherwise, the Tally utility will not come to know whether you have actually uploaded the data in Tally or not. If you have actually uploaded the data in Tally, please come to this option and select successfully uploaded button. Click on successfully uploaded button so that Tally will automatically save the information that you have imported 1st April till 31st May of data. So next time, in case even mistakenly, if you generate a similar period data, let's say again from 1st April till August, for example, utility will automatically filter those duplicate vouchers and only give the fresh vouchers to import into Tally application. So to avoid the duplications, you can follow these two steps very much. I mean, we always recommend to all our clients to follow both the steps.
Next, in our cloud application, for all the contract note entries that you do, there is a option which is called as auto transfer of charges. What this means is different transaction charges that are applied when you're buying and selling shares, like STT, stamp duty, SEBI turnover fees, any other transaction charges. There is an option you can allocate all those charges to the buy and sell amounts, or you can choose to keep it only at the contract note level. There are two options. One, if you in Tally, if you're managing each ledger account separately, like SEBI turnover fees separately, transaction charges separately, stamp duty separately, then we recommend that you do not do transfer contract note charges in MProfit. Only then those specific ledgers will be created. Tanmay, can you open the contract note once so we can
Yeah.
just show it to them? So here, if you can see, there is STT, GST, stamp charges, other charges. If you are managing in Tally every ledger item separately, then you should not select automatically transfer charges option. However, in Tally, if you prefer to do an accounting where all the charges are applied to respective buy and sell amounts on the contract note, then you can select the automatically transfer charges option. What this will do is, other than STT, all transaction charges will be allocated to buy and sell amounts of the contract note. And when you are importing into Tally, only the buy and sell ledgers will be created, and separate ledgers for each transaction, each expense item will not be created. Depending on how you manage your contract note entries in your existing Tally accounting basis, that you can decide whether to transfer charges or not. But we recommend that whatever option you do select, select it before you download the accounting vouchers, because once that process is done, then to redo it, it will be, you will have to start from the first step again. So if you are doing it separate ledger wise, do not transfer the charges. But if you are consolidating everything, you can select auto transfer of charges.
And you can also enable auto transfer of charges as an option by going to tools. Radha, if you want to show that
Yes,
once.
yes.
Yeah. So there are two ways basically. For existing data, if you have not transferred the charges, and by default, system do not transfer the charges and allocate to the cost. So let's say you're already MProfit user, already imported the data, expenses and everything is there. If you want to transfer the charges now, you have to simply right click on the stock, select advance and choose transfer contract note charges. This will transfer the charges not for that specific stock, but for all the stocks in that portfolio. And you can select the period for which period you want to transfer the charges and allocate to the cost. We have also given option if you want to include STT or exclude STT, you can do that. This is to transfer the charges for your existing data already added in MProfit portfolio. For your future trades, now you want to automate this process. We have also given option under tool section, auto transfer of charges. Here you can simply enable the transfers. That once you tick mark these options for your equity portfolios, whenever the next contract note comes, auto forward through auto forward, or if you are manually importing the contract note, automatically the charges allocation will happen and all the expenses will be added to the cost. So this is the process to automate the auto transfer of the charges. So you don't have to go again and do it. I mentioned the first option because mainly for those users who have already were already using MProfit, already added the data but not transfer the charges. And it's completely depending on you how you manage the data in Tally. If you want to allocate the charges to the cost and then do the accounting, we recommend to transfer the charges and then download the vouchers. If you want the expenses separately even in the Tally application, then in MProfit also you don't need to do this process. Just keep it as it is, simply import the file and then download the voucher data.
Next, in the first step when Tanmay was showing download of the vouchers, there is an option where we provide a customization whether or not you want to integrate your income entries for Tally. Why this is essential is when you select this option, include income payout, it will create separate vouchers for dividend income, interest income, rent income, or any other income. However, if you choose not to have income entries tracked in Tally because you are having a separate way of managing income entries directly through your bank transaction statements, then you do not need to select this option. However, if you want the integration to happen in a way where dividend income, interest income, rent income, or any other kind of income entered in MProfit, those specific ledgers are also created in Tally, then you can select this. As a best practice, whenever you're creating any vouchers, you can just go through all the options where specific selection deselection process is there, so you don't miss it out in the later stages of the import process. Next, few best practices to remember when we are in the second step of the process, which is when we are using MProfit utility, Tally integration utility. Sorry. The first is create separate folders on your local machine before starting the integration process. Every time you do the second step where Tally compatible files are generated, those files get automatically saved in the folder which you have created. So for every entity, for every period that you create the integration, you should create a separate folder on your local machine in which Tally is downloaded and you're using Tally on that same machine. Tanma, can you go to the utility once?
Yeah. So I just restarted to show you that option. That is the first option. So in this case, I have successfully imported. So I'm just clicking on it. So we're talking about this first folder
Yes.
selection. So in this particular example, let's say there are two entities, two different banks, two different members accounts, accounting we want to do. There is A Mehta and B Mehta. So when you process the files, make sure that you create two folders here. For A Mehta's investment and accounting data, create one folder. For B Mehta's investment accounting data, create another folder. It's very important to create entity-wise folders so that the duplication and other things can be done properly.
And then
And
I think one thing we should definitely talk about is how one can track dividends receivable against bank credits for stocks. So I think if we can show how that works, that will be another useful feature by means of the Tally integration.
Sure. So, the currently the way income entries are generated, I have already explained by showing the Excel file. Let me quickly open the Excel file, the voucher report, I mean, and let me just select any one particular income. I'm selecting a specific voucher in this case just to show you the specific income entry as you see on the screen. So this is the income from fixed deposits, interest income from the fixed deposit. So system will automatically create the interest on investment ledger, okay, under income group. Similarly, instead of assigning it to the bank, system will automatically create interest receivable, similarly rent receivable or dividend income receivable kind of a ledgers, so that later on you can actually assign it to a bank properly. Why it is important, why we have kept it like that? Because whenever the, let's say if we take an example of a stock dividend, as per the capital gain calculations, dividends or actually not for capital gains to be frank with, but to generate the filing, the ITR filings data, the dividend needs to be applied on a X date. Whereas when you actually receive that amount, that you will receive it maybe after a couple of days. Meaning that if X date is, let's say, 2nd of Feb, after few days, maybe 1 week also, you will get a actual dividend, actual money in your bank account. So that is the reason we are not directly giving an option to assign a bank, because in that case the bank may not be able to, you will not be able to reconcile with the bank, because X date will be different and the actual credit date will be a different. So in this case, what we are doing, the system is actually automatically generating interest receivable ledger, which later you can easily assign it to a bank in Tally application directly, because after, as I mentioned, after a few days you will actually receive the money, actually receive the interest income. This may not be the case for all kinds of income. Like if it's a rent income and if someone is actually paying you by depositing a check or maybe NEFT, that will be mostly on the same day. But for other kinds of income, mainly a dividend payout on your stocks and mutual funds, the X date will be different than the actual credit date on which you are getting the actual money in your bank account. So that is the reason system will automatically generate interest receivable, rent receivable income, and you will still get an option to assign that into your Tally application. And this will also avoid the duplication issues, meaning that if you are again adding a transaction through a bank statement, there won't be a duplication issue in this case. I hope this is clear, I think.
Yes, Tanmay, thank you.
then moving on, the second step, utility, as Tanmay already mentioned it while explaining the duplication, avoiding of duplication process. Always remember to click on successfully uploaded once all the import has been successfully done in Tally. This helps us track the specific voucher numbers which MProfit creates to
Tanmay, can we show the?
identify the duplicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now I won't be able to show because then I'll have to process all
Right,
the
right. Fair,
processing.
fair. Understood. Right.
So on the last step here, on step 4, after all the files are generated and you have finished importing into Tally, then you should come back to utility, click on restart process, which will be at the bottom left of this screen, and click on successfully uploaded. So the next time, even by mistake, if you have generated historical already imported voucher report from MProfit, this step will at least help to prevent any duplication of entries.
So right now you're not seeing it on the screen because we have already confirmed that the last import was successfully done. But every time you upload files, you generate upload files to this utility, you will see, and once MProfit's utility creates the Tally compatible files, you will see the option at the bottom left of the screen called restart process. And again, once again reiterating that every time you successfully import data to Tally, the option at the bottom left of the screen, restart process, which you will see, please click that and click successfully imported there, so that MProfit knows that data until that point has been successfully imported to Tally. And the next time, MProfit's duplicate checking will ensure that those same vouchers don't again get duplicated in Tally. So I hope that is clear, and we can definitely, and clarify that again in the Q&A if at all required.
Last few points in best practices is when you're importing into Tally, if this is your first time that you're using integration from MProfit into Tally, we recommend that you create a dummy company in Tally to first try out for a few sample transactions to get a hang of the entire process. You would already have a lot of existing data into Tally. And if you directly start importing, and if by mistake there has been some error or some issue while downloading the voucher, some entry is missed, you will have to redo the entire process. So we recommend that for the first time you create a dummy company in your existing Tally, do the integration for a few sample transactions of say 1 week or 1 month for all different asset classes. And once you have had an idea of how the entries are getting imported and how the vouchers are looking, then you can always start using from in your existing Tally company that you have already created. There is also a scenario where few clients are using Tally on cloud. In that case, the entire process remains same. Only one additional step will have to be done, which is you will have to first upload all the 5 files that get created in step 2 to the Tally cloud server. The Tally cloud currently does not give an option to select the file from the desktop network. So you will have to upload these files in the Tally cloud account, and from there you can do the import. All other steps will remain the same. Because Tally cloud does not have a functionality to select files from the desktop, you will have to first upload it to the Tally cloud server before doing the import process. The import will work in the same way as it is working on the desktop Tally installed software. And last, keep taking regular backup of your Tally. Even before you start the integration, you should take one backup which will take all the information and store it. And at every step of import, you can also take backup again when you are doing import of ledgers, groups, stock groups. You can keep taking backup, rename the file and save it. So for example, if you have by mistakenly done the import before adding any transaction into MProfit, at least the backup of the previously completed accounting is already with you, so you don't miss out on any information or data.
So yeah, we would like to emphasize that backups are definitely important in Tally. Just to make sure that in case you make any mistake along the way during this Tally integration, you can always revert back to a previously stored backup, and your accounting does not at all get impacted. Yeah.
Correct. Also, when it comes to interest or dividend receivable that we covered, I'd like to highlight that as per your income tax, you are required to file your income and taxes basis all accrued income up to 31st of March. So it is advisable that you use our income payout voucher report. So at least all the income receivable up to 31st March, the ledger is created, and then you can use it for your tax filing purposes, irrespective of when is the actual date of credit. So that is one useful feature that you can use while doing the importing, so that any income is not left out even for your tax filing. It becomes a double cross check from your accounting and tax perspective as well.
Thank you, Radha.
Yes.
So I think that
Anything else
covers the
you would like
best.
to cover?
Sorry, Radha, you were saying?
No, anything else you would like to cover?
No, I think that covers the best practices. I think we have completed a little over an hour. We hope that this session was useful. We will be sharing a video record, a proper video webinar recording of the same that actually contains the entire process and all the best practices. We would like to emphasize that you do follow the best practices and review them properly before you start the Tally integration. As Tanmay also pointed out, in the beginning, it will take maybe half an hour or a little more to set up the initial part of the MProfit integration with Tally. But once you have, set that up, incremental uploads of voucher data will be a lot easier and quicker. And genuinely, from the feedback we have received from our beta users and from what we have seen ourselves firsthand, this utility will save you considerable time and effort in uploading your investment data to Tally. Again, this is only for your investment accounting that this utility will be useful, not for other kinds of accounting. So any time that you are using MProfit for tracking investments and you're using Tally for accounting, you should most definitely see if this Tally integration feature saves you a lot of time and effort, and also improves accuracy, because all the investment data will be seamlessly converted into vouchers and uploaded into Tally, rather than having a manual approach that can be prone to errors. Our team is definitely there to guide you with specific queries that you have. We are not, firstly I would like to say that we are not accounting experts. So your accountants or your chartered accountants would be definitely the right people to ask for advice on general accounting queries. But if there's any Tally utility specific query you have on MProfit, our team is definitely here to help. And with that, definitely let us open it up to Q&A now. There are quite a few questions we have received. And for those who are willing to try it out, please do send us an email to support@mprofit.in, and we will be happy to share the next steps with you. If you are already on MProfit's family office plans, we can already start sharing the utility. If you are not, as Tanmay said, we will be happy to share a trial of the family office plans and a trial of the Tally utility with you to assess whether or not this is the right product for you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate everyone being there today. And we are hopeful that the Tally feature will be useful to many of you. And we are always here to support and help if any guidance is required on how to use this feature. Just to lastly summarize that we will definitely share access to this EXE with you. So there were a few queries here about how to get access to the Tally utility. Please do email us at support@mprofit.in, and we will definitely connect with you. And please add in the subject that you wish to try the Tally utility. And help.mprofit.in is where you can find the guides and all the detailed posts on how to use the Tally feature. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. Hope this was a useful session, and see you at the next webinar, hopefully in the coming weeks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Vyas. Thank you.